Kang wiped the sweat from his forehead and looked at the spacecraft engine in front of him. After 6 hours of work, he had finally fixed the problem. Just another day at his repair shop on Nexus Station, the busiest spaceport in this part of the galaxy. That should do it, he said to himself, closing the engine panel. His small workshop was cluttered with tools and spare parts. It wasn't much, but it was his home and his business. The delivery bell rang, breaking his concentration. Kang wasn't expecting any parts today. He walked to the front of his shop, wiping his greasy hands on an old rag. A tall delivery robot stood at the door, holding a strange metal box with holes in it. The box was about the size of a small suitcase. "Delivery for Kang, human mechanic," the robot said in its flat voice. "High-priority shipment from the planet Lycanis. Signature required." Kang frowned. "Lycanis? I don't have any customers from there." The only person he knew from Lycanis was King Do-hyun, whose royal ship Kang had fixed 3 years ago when it made an emergency landing at Nexus. The king had been kind and grateful, paying Kang triple his normal fee. But why would anyone from the royal house contact him now? The robot extended a screen for Kang to sign. "Package requires immediate opening. Live contents." Live contents. Kang signed quickly and took the box. It was heavier than it looked, and something inside moved. As the robot left, Kang carried the box to his workbench and studied it. There was a royal seal on top, the mark of King Do-hyun himself. Next to the box was a sealed envelope with the same royal mark. Kang opened the envelope first. Inside was a letter written on actual paper, something rare in this digital age. "To Kang, the human mechanic of Nexus Station," he read aloud. "If you are reading this, then I, King Do-hyun of Lycanis, have passed from this world. I remember your honest work and kind heart when you repaired my ship years ago." Kang paused, surprised. The king was dead. He continued reading. "I entrust to you something more precious than all the riches of Lycanis. Her name is Bomi. She is a royal Lycan pup, the last of my direct bloodline. I trust no one else with her care. Political dangers threaten her life on our world. She must be protected until she comes of age." Kang looked at the box with wide eyes. A royal alien wolf pup. This had to be a joke. "This is crazy," he muttered, but kept reading. "You will find all legal documentation transferring guardianship to you, along with instructions for her care. A monthly allowance will be deposited in your account for expenses. I would not burden you with this if there were any other option. Bomi is special, even among royal Lycans. One day, you will understand why I chose you." The letter ended with the king's signature and official seal. Kang set down the letter and stared at the box. Something scratched from inside. With a deep breath, he pressed his thumb to the lock scanner. The box lid slid open with a soft hiss. 2 golden eyes stared up at him from a ball of silver fur. The creature was the size of a small dog, with pointed ears and a wolf-like face. Its fur had strange blue markings that seemed to shimmer in the light. It didn't look dangerous, just confused. "Balmy?" Kang said quietly. The pup's ears perked up. It tilted its head, studying him with those intelligent golden eyes. "I'm Kang," he said, feeling foolish for talking to it like a person. "I guess I'm your new guardian." The pup, Balmy, stood up on her 4 legs. She stretched, yawned to show small sharp teeth, then unexpectedly jumped out of the box and onto the floor. Kang's small apartment was no place for an alien wolf. His life as a simple mechanic had just become much more complicated. "What am I supposed to do with you?" he asked. Bomi simply sat down and continued staring at him, her tail swishing once across the floor, as if to say, "That's for you to figure out." 3 days had passed since Bomi arrived, and Kang was at his wit's end. The silver wolf pup sat in the middle of his workshop, surrounded by chewed wires and broken tools. "That's the 3rd power cable this week," Kang said, holding up the damaged wire. "Do you know how much these cost?" Bomi tilted her head, those golden eyes watching him without guilt. She made a small huffing sound that almost seemed like laughter. Kang sighed and checked the care instructions again. The papers said to feed her meat, keep her warm, and let her exercise. They didn't mention she would destroy his livelihood. You won't eat the food I give you, Kang complained. What do royal wolves eat anyway? The bowl of expensive meat sat untouched in the corner. Bomi had sniffed it once and walked away. She hadn't eaten in 2 days, as far as Kang could tell. The repair shop door opened, and Jin walked in. Jin was Kang's only real friend on Nexus Station, a xenobiologist who studied alien creatures. So where is this mystery pet you called me about? Jin asked, setting down his bag of equipment. Bomi growled from behind a stack of engine parts. That's her, Kang said. She won't eat, she won't sleep. She just breaks things and makes my life hard. Jin knelt down and took out a scanner. Let me see what we've got here. He whistled when the results appeared. Kang, this isn't a pet. This is a lichen, a sentient species. And not just any lichen. These readings show royal bloodline markers. The letter said she was royal, but what does that mean? Jin stood up slowly. It means you're housing royalty. Lichens are telepathic beings. They form bonds with their companions for life. Royal lichens are extremely rare and have abilities beyond normal lichens. Telepathic. She can read my mind, Kang asked. Not yet. She's too young. But soon she'll try to form a mental link with you. Jin looked around the messy workshop. She's not destroying things to be bad. She's frustrated because she can't communicate with you. Kang watched as Bomi peeked out from her hiding spot. So what do I feed her? She won't touch anything I give her. Jin opened his bag and pulled out a small silver packet. Try this. It's synthetic royal lichen formula. Hard to get, but I have connections. Kang took the packet and poured its contents into a clean bowl. The liquid shimmered with an odd blue glow. Bomi's ears perked up immediately. She approached the bowl cautiously, sniffed, and began to lap up the food. See, she needs special nutrition while she's growing, Jin explained. As Bomi ate, Kang noticed her blue markings began to glow faintly. Is that normal? Jin nodded. The markings show her emotional state. Blue means she's content. Later that evening, after Jin left with a promise to bring more food tomorrow, Kang sat at his small kitchen table. He had a repair job due in the morning, but his tools were scattered everywhere, thanks to Bomi. The wolf pup trotted over and dropped something at his feet. It was his favorite wrench, the one he'd been looking for all afternoon. Where did you find this? Kang asked in surprise. Bomi made a soft yipping sound and nudged the wrench closer to him. Kang slowly reached down to pick it up. Are you helping me? Bomi's tail wagged once, and she trotted away. A moment later, she returned with another tool he needed. Maybe you're not so bad after all, Kang said, reaching out hesitantly to pat her head. To his surprise, Bomi allowed the touch. Her fur felt warm and strangely metallic, like silk woven with copper threads. Her markings glowed a bit brighter. That night, as Kang worked on his repair job, Bomi curled up next to his feet. She slept peacefully for the first time since arriving. Unknown to Kang, outside his repair shop, a figure in a dark cloak watched the building. The stranger spoke quietly into a communicator. I found signs of a royal lichen signature on Nexus Station, continuing search for confirmation. The challenges of caring for Bomi were just beginning, and dangers Kang couldn't imagine were already closing in. 2 weeks had passed since Bomi came into Kang's life. The small workshop had changed in surprising ways. Kang had built a soft sleeping area for Bomi in the corner. Tools were organized neatly on the walls, no longer scattered by playful paws. A routine was forming. Hand me the plasma cutter, Kang said as he worked under a customer's hoverbike. To his amazement, Bomi trotted over to his toolbox, nosed through it, and pulled out exactly the tool he needed. She carried it carefully in her mouth and dropped it by his hand. "Good girl," Kang said, patting her head. Bomy's blue markings glowed brighter at his praise. Jin visited regularly, bringing special food and checking on Bomy's growth. The pup was already twice the size she had been upon arrival. "She's growing faster than normal lichens," Jin observed that evening as they watched Bomy playing with a mechanical puzzle Kang had made for her. "Her intelligence is remarkable too." Kang nodded. "Watch this." He turned to Bomy and spoke in Korean, his native language. "Bomy, lights." The wolf pup immediately went to the wall panel and pressed her paw against the light switch, turning the lights off and then back on. "You taught her Korean commands?" Jin asked, impressed. "She seems to prefer it to standard," Kang explained. "I've been reading the files that came with her. Did you know lichens choose their companions for life, and royal lichens are said to have special powers?" Jin looked serious. "Have you heard the news from Lycanus?" Kang shook his head. He rarely paid attention to galactic politics. King Do-hyun's brother Tai has claimed the throne. There are protests in the streets. Some say he poisoned the king. Kang glanced at Bomy, who had stopped playing and seemed to be listening. "Do you think that's why King Do-hyun sent her here? For protection?" "Possibly. Royal succession on Lycanus is complicated. It's not always the next in line who takes the throne." Jin lowered his voice. "Yesterday, I noticed someone asking questions at the spaceport about unusual shipments from Lycanus." A chill ran down Kang's spine. "You think they're looking for Bomy? I think you should be careful." After Jin left, Kang opened the secure data drive that had come with Bomy. He had been studying it piece by piece, learning about lichen culture. Tonight, he found a locked file he hadn't noticed before. As he tried different ways to open it, Bomy patted over and placed her paw on the screen. To Kang's surprise, the file unlocked instantly, responding to some biological marker in Bomy's touch. A hologram of King Do-hyun appeared. "If you are seeing this message, then you have begun to form a bond with Bomy," the king's image said. "What I could not tell you in my letter is that Bomy is not just any royal lichen. She is special even among her kind." Kang looked at Bomy, who sat watching the hologram, her golden eyes fixed on the image of her former master. "Royal lichens pass down not just our genetic material, but our consciousness," the hologram continued. "When a royal lichen comes of age, they receive the memories and knowledge of their ancestors. Bomy will one day carry my consciousness within her. This is why my brother fears her. This is why she must be protected at all costs." The hologram flickered. "The bond you are forming is sacred. She has chosen you, Kang. This means she sees something in you that I also saw: strength, honor, and kindness. Trust this bond. It will guide you both through the dangers ahead." The message ended, leaving Kang staring at Bomy in a new light. The wolf pup met his gaze steadily. "So you're not just a pet," Kang said softly. "You're carrying a king's consciousness." Bomy made a soft sound and moved closer to him. For the first time, she jumped into his lap and curled up there. Her warm weight felt right somehow, as if she belonged with him. Outside the workshop, night fell on Nexus Station, and in the shadows, more eyes were watching. The hunt for the last of Lycanus' royal line had begun in earnest. Kang was fixing a customer's engine when the station's warning siren blared. A royal ship from Lycanus was requesting emergency docking. This almost never happened. "Wait here," Kang told Bomy, who had grown to the size of a medium dog in just 3 weeks. Her silver fur now had more blue markings that glowed when she was excited or alert. Bomy whined, but stayed in the back room as Kang had taught her. He locked the door and went to the front of his shop to watch through the window. The royal ship was smaller than he expected, sleek and silver with the royal crest of Lycanus on its side. It landed smoothly in the docking bay across from his shop. Station security officers surrounded it immediately. A young man in royal clothes stepped out. He was tall with serious eyes and walked with the grace of someone important. 4 guards followed him. Kang was about to turn away when the young man looked directly at his shop. Their eyes met. The royal visitor said something to his guards and then walked straight toward Kang's door. Kang's heart beat faster. Should he run? Hide Bomi? But where? Before he could decide, there was a knock at his door. "Are you Kang, the mechanic?" the young man asked when Kang opened the door slightly. "Yes," Kang answered. "How can I help you?" "I am Prince Sun, nephew of King Do-hyun. I need to speak with you privately." Kang hesitated but then let the prince enter. The guards waited outside. "Where is she?" Prince Sun asked once they were alone. There was no point in pretending. "How did you find us?" "My uncle told me before he died. I've come to check on her safety." Prince Sun's voice softened. "I mean no harm. I was loyal to my uncle." From the back room came scratching and a loud whine. Bomi could smell the visitor from Lycanis. Kang unlocked the room. Bomi burst out and circled Prince Sun, sniffing him carefully. The prince knelt down and held out his hand. Bomi sniffed it, then licked it once. "She recognizes my scent as family," Prince Sun said with a sad smile. "She's growing well." "Why are you really here?" Kang asked. "Jin tells me Lycanis is in trouble. Your uncle's brother has taken the throne." Prince Sun's face darkened. "My uncle King Do-hyun was murdered by my other uncle Ta. Now Tae rules as king, but his claim is not legitimate." "What does this have to do with Bomi?" Kang asked, though he feared he knew the answer. "Bomi is not just any royal Lycan," Prince Sun said. "She is the rightful heir to the Lycanis throne." Kang remembered the hologram message. "Because she will carry King Do-hyun's consciousness." Yes. When royal Lycans come of age, the full consciousness of their chosen predecessor awakens within them. My uncle chose Bomi to carry his wisdom, memories, and right to rule. Prince Sun looked at Bomi with respect. "When she matures, she will be both herself and my uncle, a new being with both their strengths. And King Ta wants to stop this." Kang guessed. Prince Sun nodded. "He is searching everywhere for her. I came to warn you, and to give you this." He pulled out a beautiful collar made of shimmering metal with strange symbols. "This contains Lycan technology to protect and nurture her. It will help speed her growth and development." He placed the collar around Bomi's neck. It adjusted perfectly to her size. The symbols glowed the same blue as her markings. "You must leave Nexus Station," Prince Sun said urgently. "Ta's agents will be here soon. They tracked my ship." "Leave? But this is my home, my business. If you stay, you will both die." Prince Sun moved to the door. "I must go before I bring more attention to you. My guards and I will create a distraction. Use that time to escape." Before leaving, the prince looked at Bomi one last time. "The future of our world is with you, Mal, little one." After Prince Sun left, Kang stood frozen for a moment. Then he sprang into action. He had to pack. He had to plan. He had to save Bomi and himself. Alarms blared throughout Nexus Station. Prince Sun's distraction had worked too well. The station was in chaos. "We need to go now," Kang told Bomi as he stuffed tools and supplies into a bag. The wolf pup stood alert, her new collar glowing softly. In the back of his workshop sat Kang's secret project, a small spacecraft he had been fixing for years. It wasn't pretty, but it could fly. "I never thought we'd use this so soon," he muttered, opening the ship's hatch. Bomi jumped in without being told. The workshop door burst open. Kang spun around, expecting soldiers. Instead, Jin rushed in. "The station is crawling with Lycanis agents," Jin said, breathing hard. "They're checking every ship, every room." "I'm leaving," Kang said. "You should hide." Jin looked at the small ship, then at Bomi. "I'm coming with you." "What?" "No, it's too dangerous. I'm a xenobiologist. Bomi needs care that you don't know how to give." Jin climbed into the ship. "Besides, they saw me with you. I'm already a target." Kang knew there was no time to argue. He jumped into the pilot's seat and started the engines. They coughed, then hummed to life. "Hold on," he warned as he opened the workshop's ceiling hatch. The small ship rose shakily into the air. They barely cleared the station when laser fire flashed past them. A sleek black ship was in pursuit. "Kane Tae's elite guards," Jin said, looking at the ship's scanner. "They're faster than us." Kang's hands flew over the controls. "But they don't know these shipping lanes like I do." He steered sharply into a field of floating junk, old ship parts and space trash that surrounded the station. The pursuing ship had to slow down. "Where are we going?" Jin asked. "Away from populated areas," Kang answered. "Somewhere they won't find us easily." For 3 days, they jumped between small outposts and abandoned stations. They never stayed in one place more than a few hours. Kang used all his knowledge of space travel to keep them hidden. During this time, Bomi changed. The collar Prince Sun had given her seemed to speed up her growth. She was now the size of a large earth wolf, and her silver fur shimmered with more complex blue patterns. On the 4th night, as they hid in an abandoned mining station, something strange happened. Kang was sleeping when a voice called his name. He woke with a start. The room was dark except for the blue glow coming from Bomi. She sat beside his bed, her golden eyes fixed on him. "Kang." The voice was in his head, not his ears. It was soft, feminine, with an accent he couldn't place. "Bomi," Kang whispered, not believing. "Yes. Talk. Hard. New." The mental voice was broken, like a child learning to speak. Jin woke up and saw them. "What's happening?" "She's talking to me." "In my mind." Kang couldn't hide his amazement. Jin grabbed his scanner. "The telepathic abilities are developing. The collar must be speeding up the process." "Friend Jin," Bomi's mental voice touched them both now. Jin gasped. "This is incredible," he said. "Full telepathic communication usually takes years to develop in lichens." That night, as Bomi slept, Kang had strange dreams. He saw places he had never visited, grand halls with high ceilings, gardens with plants he didn't recognize. He saw people bowing to him, felt the weight of important decisions. When he woke, he knew these weren't his dreams. They were memories. Kim Do-hyun's memories, starting to flow through their mental connection. "Jin," he said over breakfast, "I think I'm seeing the king's memories in my dreams." Jin looked worried. "That's not supposed to happen. The memories should stay with Bomi until she fully matures." "What does it mean?" "It means your bond with her is stronger than normal." Jin looked at Bomi, who was practicing moving small objects with her mind. "Another new ability. And it means we have less time than we thought." "Less time for what?" "To prepare for what comes next." Jin pointed to the ship's scanner. "Because they found us again." A warning light flashed. 3 ships were approaching their hiding place. "We need to hide," Jin said, watching the scanner. The 3 ships were moving closer to the abandoned mining colony where they had taken shelter. Kang shook his head. "No more running. We go deeper into the mines." They gathered their things quickly. Bomi led the way, her enhanced senses guiding them through dark tunnels that hadn't seen life in decades. Her silver fur glowed faintly, providing just enough light to see. "How far down do these tunnels go?" Jin whispered as they descended. "Mining colonies like this one often have levels that go for miles," Kang answered. "The deepest parts might shield Bomi's energy signature from their scanners." They walked for hours, following Bomi's confident steps. Finally, they reached a large cave with strange crystal formations on the walls. The crystals reflected Bomi's light, filling the space with a soft blue glow. "We should be safe here for a while," Kang said, setting down their supplies. Jin studied the cave. "These crystals, they're similar to ones found on Lycanis. They might be why Bomi led us here." As if understanding, Bomi walked to the center of the cave and sat down. Her collar pulsed with light that matched the crystals around them. "Kang." Bomi's mental voice was clearer now. "I need to connect. Fully." What does she mean? Kang asked Jin. I think she wants to establish a complete telepathic bond with you, Jin said. It's rare for lichens to bond with humans this way. Kang knelt beside Bomi. What do I need to do? Just be still. Open mind. Bomi's golden eyes locked with his. Kang took a deep breath and tried to clear his thoughts. For a moment, nothing happened. Then a wave of warmth flooded his mind. Images flashed before him. Bomi as a tiny pup, King Do-hyun holding her, the royal palace of Lycanis, faces of people he didn't know. Then suddenly, he felt Bomi's presence in his mind, not just sending thoughts, but truly connecting. He could feel her emotions, fear mixed with determination, trust in him, and something else, a growing awareness of another consciousness within her. I can feel you, Kang whispered, amazed. And you, Bomi replied, her mental voice now smooth and clear. Your memories, your heart, your strength. Jin watched in awe as blue light flowed between Kang and Bomi, connecting them visibly. This is unprecedented, he said. The bond is forming completely. As their minds joined, Kang felt a third presence, older, wiser, watching from within Bomi. King Do-hyun's consciousness was awakening. Suddenly, Bomi's fur began to change. The silver darkened in places, forming new patterns. Her blue markings grew more intricate, spreading across her body. Her eyes flashed with inner light. What's happening to her? Kang asked, worried. Her body is changing to accommodate the awakening consciousness, Jin explained. This shouldn't be happening so soon. The collar must be accelerating everything. When the transformation stopped, Bomi was different. Still wolf-like, but her fur had royal markings that no ordinary lichen possessed. She stood taller, more regal. I remember more now, Bomi said in their minds. Her mental voice carried new depth and knowledge. King Do-hyun's memories grow stronger. I know why he chose you, Kang. Why? Kang asked. Because your heart is pure, your hands build and fix. You do not seek power, which makes you worthy to guard it. A loud boom echoed from above. Dust fell from the cave ceiling. They're blasting their way in, Jin said. They must have tracked us somehow. Bomi stood and faced the tunnel entrance. Her fur bristled as she growled, a sound no earth wolf could make. The air around her shimmered with energy. I can help, she said, her mental voice reaching both men. I can hide us. To their amazement, the air around them began to waver. Bomi was creating some kind of field around them. Stay still, she instructed. They won't see us if we don't move. Kang felt pride surge through him. The small pup he had reluctantly taken in was now protecting them with powers he barely understood. Heavy footsteps approached. Armed figures entered the cave, scanning with weapons ready. Their eyes passed over Kang, Jin, and Bomi as if they weren't there. Through their mental link, Kang sensed how much strength this was costing Bomi. He placed his hand on her back, offering his own strength. Somehow, she drew energy from him, their bond making both of them stronger. The hunters searched the cave, confused by the readings on their scanners. Finally, they left, heading deeper into the tunnels. When they were gone, Bomi released the field and collapsed, exhausted. We need to move, Kang said, lifting her carefully. They'll be back. The bond between them hummed with silent understanding. They were no longer just guardian and ward. They were connected in ways neither had imagined possible. Kang, Jin, and Bomi managed to return to their ship and escape the mining colony before King Ta's hunters found them again. But Kang knew they couldn't keep running forever. Sooner or later, they would be caught. We need help, Kang said as they drifted in space, hiding in the shadow of a small moon. Jin nodded, but who can stand against the king of Lycanis? Kang thought for a moment. I know someone, a former military strategist who owes me a favor. Through their bond, Bomi sensed Kang's plan. Hyun, she said, picking the name from his mind. Yes, Hyun runs a security company now. I fixed his personal ship when no one else could. He promised to help me if I ever needed it. Kang set a course for the planet Varin, where Hyun's company was based. 2 days later, they landed at a private docking bay. Hyun met them at the entrance, a tall, serious man with short gray hair and sharp eyes. "When you called, I thought you needed help with a debt collector," Hyun said, looking at Bomina with surprise. "Not hiding a royal lichen from King Ta." "Will you help us?" Kang asked. Hyun studied Bomi. "She's the rightful heir, isn't she? King Do-hyun's chosen successor." "Yes," Jin confirmed. "And if King Ta finds her, he'll kill her." Hyun led them to a secure room deep in his facility. "I can offer protection, but not for long. My company does business with Lycanis." "We need more than protection," Kang said. "We need allies." Hyun thought for a moment. There are people who still support King Do-hyun's memory. His rule was fair to many species that King Ta now oppresses. Over the next week, Hyun introduced them to representatives from different worlds that had good relations with King Do-hyun. Many were skeptical at first, until Bomi demonstrated her connection to the late king. "Show them," Kang encouraged her. Bomi sat in the center of the room and closed her eyes. The blue markings on her fur glowed brightly. When she opened her eyes again, they shone with a different light, older, wiser. "I remember you, Ambassador Yoon," she said to one visitor, her mental voice reaching everyone in the room. "You helped negotiate the peace treaty with the Navari Collective. You wore a blue ceremonial robe that day. We spoke of your grandchildren." Ambassador Yoon gasped. Only King Do-hyun knew about that private conversation. One by one, Bomi convinced the visitors with memories only King Do-hyun could have. By the end of the week, they had formed a small alliance of supporters. "This is a good start," Hyun said, "but we need a plan. What is our goal?" Jin opened a star map showing the Lycanis system. According to royal Lycan tradition, if Bomi can reach the Temple of Ancestors on Lycanis Moon before her first full year of life, she can complete the consciousness transfer ritual. This would fully awaken King Do-hyun's consciousness within her and legitimize her claim to the throne. "How much time do we have?" Hyun asked. 2 months, Kang answered, "and the temple is in territory completely controlled by King Ta." Through their bond, Kang could feel Bomi's determination mixing with fear. She was still young, despite her rapid growth and increasing powers. "I don't want to be just King Do-hyun," she confided to Kang that night as they sat alone. "I want to be me too." Kang placed his hand on her head. "You will be both, and stronger for it. We'll find a way." The next morning, their planning session was interrupted when Hyun burst into the room. "King Ta's forces are entering the system. They must have tracked you here." "How?" Jin wondered. "We've been so careful." Hyun pointed to a small device on their scanner. "There's a tracking beacon on your ship. It was dormant until now." Kang felt anger rise. "We need to leave immediately." "Not yet," Hyun said. "I have a better idea." He turned to their new allies. "It's time to see if your support is real or just words." Ambassador Yoon stepped forward. "My personal ship is faster than any in King Ta's fleet. I will transport you to the edge of Lycanis space." Others offered help too: supplies, weapons, information about King Ta's defenses. For the first time since fleeing Nexus Station, Kang felt hope. They weren't alone anymore. As they prepared to leave, Bomi stood tall beside Kang. Through their bond, he felt her new confidence. "We're going home," she said, her golden eyes fixed on the stars, "to reclaim what was stolen." Ambassador Yoon's ship was as fast as promised. Within days, they reached the edge of Lycanis space. Now came the hard part: getting past border patrols to reach the moon where the Temple of Ancestors stood. "All ships are being checked," Jin said, looking at the scanner. "King Ta has increased security." "We need a disguise," Kang suggested. Bomi, who had been quiet, stepped forward. I can help with that. Over the past weeks, her powers had grown stronger. She was now able to control her appearance in small ways. With effort, her royal markings faded until she looked like an ordinary lichen wolf. I can hide what I am, she explained through their mental link. For a while, Prince Sun, who had joined them at Hyun's base, provided proper identification papers. My ship is allowed to enter Lycanis space. With Bomi disguised, we might get through. Their plan worked. Border patrol ships scanned them but found nothing suspicious. Just Prince Sun returning from diplomatic duties with his staff and pet. Once on Lycanis, they had to move carefully. The capital city was filled with King Ta's soldiers and spies. They stayed in Prince Sun's country house, planning their journey to the moon. The Temple of Ancestors can only be reached during the Night of Stars, Prince Sun explained. It happens once every 50 days. The next one is in 3 days. That doesn't give us much time, Jin said. Kang worked on gear they would need, while Jin studied the ritual Bomi would have to perform. Through it all, Kang could feel Bomi's growing nervousness through their bond. That night, she came to his room. I'm scared, she admitted. Of the ritual? Kang asked. Of losing myself. The memories are getting stronger. Sometimes, I think thoughts that aren't mine. Kang sat beside her. You won't lose yourself. You'll become more, both Bomi and King Do-hyun. She rested her head on his knee. Will you still be my friend when I'm changed? Always, Kang promised. Our bond won't break, no matter what. The next day, as they finalized their plans, soldiers surrounded Prince Sun's house. Someone betrayed us, Prince Sun said, looking out the window at the growing number of troops. We need to get Bomi out, Jin insisted. There's a secret tunnel, Prince Sun said. It leads to the landing pad where my moon shuttle is kept. Kang, you and Bomi go. We'll create a distraction. I'm not leaving you behind, Kang argued. You must, Prince Sun said firmly. The future of Lycanis depends on getting Bomi to that temple. With heavy hearts, Kang and Bomi entered the tunnel as Prince Sun, Jin, and their allies prepared to face the soldiers. They had nearly reached the landing pad when guards appeared ahead of them. They were trapped. What now? Kang whispered. Bomi's eyes glowed. I have an idea. She focused her mind, drawing on powers that were growing each day. The air around them shimmered, and suddenly, the guards looked confused. What are they seeing? Kang asked. Nothing, Bomi explained. I'm projecting what they expect to see. An empty tunnel. They walked past the guards, who stared right through them. This new ability was stronger than the hiding trick Bomi had used in the mine. Once at the shuttle, Kang used his mechanic skills to start it without alerting the control tower. As they lifted off, laser fire erupted from below. They've spotted us, Kang said, pulling the shuttle into a steep climb. Bomi watched as the planet fell away beneath them. Through their bond, Kang felt her sadness at leaving their friends behind, mixed with determination to complete their mission. I can sense King Tae's rage, she said. He knows what we're doing. The Lycanis moon grew larger in their view screen. It was a barren, rocky place with ancient structures visible on its surface. The Temple of Ancestors stood on the highest peak, glowing faintly in the starlight. We're almost there, Kang said, but I don't think we're alone. He pointed to the scanner. 3 ships were following them from the planet's surface. King Ta himself was coming to stop them. The shuttle shook as laser fire scraped its side. Kang's hands moved quickly over the controls, using every piloting trick he knew. We're hit, he shouted as a warning light flashed. The engine is damaged. Bomi pressed against him, her golden eyes fixed on the Temple of Ancestors growing larger in their window. We're close. We can make it. Kang aimed the failing shuttle at a flat area near the temple. They hit the ground hard, skidding across the rocky surface before stopping. Are you hurt? Kang asked Bomi as they climbed out of the smoking shuttle. No, but they're coming. She looked up at the 3 ships descending toward them. The Temple of Ancestors was an ancient stone building with tall columns and strange symbols carved everywhere. Steps led up to a massive doorway that glowed with soft blue light, the same blue as Bomi's markings. "Run for the temple," Kang said. "I'll hold them off." Bomi hesitated. "Not without you. I'll be right behind you." He pulled out the blaster Hyun had given him. "Go." Bomi raced toward the temple steps as the enemy ships landed. Soldiers poured out, led by a tall figure in royal armor, King Ta himself. "Stop the wolf," King Ta shouted. "Don't let her reach the temple." Kang fired his blaster, forcing the soldiers to take cover. But there were too many. A blast hit him in the shoulder, spinning him around. He fell to his knees, pain burning through him. Through their bond, Bomi felt his pain. She stopped at the temple entrance and looked back. "Kang." Her mental cry was full of fear. "Keep going," he shouted. "Complete the ritual." Instead, Bomi ran back to him, dodging laser fire with amazing speed. She reached his side as King Tai and his soldiers closed in. "Foolish creature," King Tai laughed. "You failed. The night of stars is nearly over." Bomi stood over Kang's injured body, her fur bristling. "You killed your brother. You stole his throne. You won't win." "Big words from a wolf cub," King Ta sneered. "Kill them both." As the soldiers raised their weapons, the sky suddenly filled with ships, dozens of them, bearing the marks of many worlds. Ambassador Yoon's vessel led them, with Prince Sun's royal ship close behind. "The Alliance," Kang whispered, hope rising. The new arrivals opened fire on King Ta's forces. In the confusion, a small group landed nearby. Jin, Prince Sun, and Hyun had come to help. "Get her to the temple," Jin shouted as he ran to help Kang. Bomi looked at Kang, torn between staying with him and completing her mission. "Go," he said, pushing himself to his feet despite the pain. "I'm coming with you." Together they climbed the temple steps, with Jin and Prince Sun covering them. King Ta saw them and gave chase, firing his royal blaster. Inside the temple, a circular platform stood in the center, bathed in light from the stars above through an open roof. Ancient writing covered the floor. "The ritual circle," Prince Sun explained. "Bomi must stand there when the 3 stars align." Kang looked up. Through the roof opening, 3 bright stars were moving closer together. "Hurry," he told Bomi. "It's time." As she stepped onto the platform, King Ta burst into the temple. "No," he screamed, raising his blaster. Kang threw himself at the king, knocking his aim off. They fought as the stars continued to align. Kang was injured and weaker, but his determination gave him strength. He managed to push King Ta back, away from Bomi. On the platform, Bomi began to glow. The 3 stars aligned perfectly above her, sending a beam of light down through the roof. The light touched her, and she was lifted slightly into the air. Everyone stopped fighting, watching in awe. Bomi's body changed. She grew larger, her form shifting between wolf and something more. Her fur shimmered with royal blue patterns, brighter than ever before. When she opened her eyes, they held the wisdom of ages. When she spoke, her voice reached all minds, clear and powerful. "I am Bomi Do-hyun, rightful ruler of Lycanis." Her gaze fell on King Ta. "Your betrayal ends now." The power of her mind reached out, touching every lichen on the moon and planet below. In an instant, she shared the truth of King Ta's crimes, not just her memories, but King Do-hyun's too. King Ta fell to his knees, the mental force overwhelming him. "Impossible," he gasped. Kang approached Bomi's transformed form cautiously. "Bomi, do you know me?" She turned to him, and through their bond, he felt her, still Bomi, but more. King Do-hyun's consciousness was there too, but they had merged perfectly, neither overwhelming the other. "Always, my friend," she said, touching her head to his hand. "Always." Outside, King Te's soldiers were surrendering as the truth spread. The reign of the usurper was over. A new age,